Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today we are going to be walking through Maven Analytics beta drill number 3. So just give me a moment to share my screen while we start. Okay, doing that now. Share my screen. Okay, great. So what is a tax? So a tax is rolling up, looking back. We've been given a transactions table for coffee shop orders, right? Our tax is to aggregate total sales by month and by store, then do calculation of month over month change in sales for each store in dollars. So this is our input and what our expected output looks like. So basically what this input is saying is this stores for every time an order is made, right? The date of the order, the store it was bought, the product that was bought, the number of quantities bought, and the sales value of what was bought, right? And the expected output wants us to aggregate by month. Don't just note how the month looks. Month name reduced to 3 letters. The store, the total sales, and the sales versus last month. So this basically is just them trying to see month on month, are we making profit or are we making sales? So when you compare this month to previous month value for a particular store, is it in the negative or are we in the positive? Did we make profit or did we make loss? Right. So just to make sure we don't take too long on this, I already downloaded a data set and I uploaded it to SQL Server SSMS. I'm going to be using SSMS for the GUI what I'm doing with SQL. Okay, so moving on to the solution with SQL. So first things first, I want to look at what my data looks like. So just dragging this here and executing. Now we'll be able to see the order ID, the date, the store, the product, the quantity, and the sales value in dollars, right? Now, first thing is I need to be able to aggregate by the month of the sale and the store that it was bought from, right? So what do? We already have different months functions on SQL Server. So a date function on SQL Server, you can use a month, you can use date part, date trunk, but they all come out in different ways. So to ensure we get exactly what the tax is asking for, we're going to be using our format function. So our format function helps us, gives us the flexibility to be able to modify our output in different ways. So I'm going to be typing just using user keywords and capital letter formats, what column, dates, and we're trying to represent in months, MMM. So just 3 letters, right? As let's say months, right? So let's say we just want to maybe confirm that we're on the right track. Let me just do a quick aggregation just to confirm on the right track. Grouping by this and executing. So the output will let us know that we are actually showing what we expect to see exactly. January, March, February, April, May, June. So the next thing I want to do, they also said we need to be aggregating by the store as well, right? So this store, so aggregate by the store, right? Then once we've aggregated by the store, we want to sum up our sales. So sum of sales, see it as sales, right? Then when we are grouping, we need to add for every column that is not in our aggregation, so that is not sales, we need to add them in our group by as well, right? So you include store here. We are not using months here because of the query of because of the way SQL execution order. So group by generally comes before select. So SQL Server doesn't know this exists yet at this point. So that's why we're using just this, right? So if I run this, what do I have? I'm going to be getting my aggregation by month, by store, and by sales value, right? I mean, this is a bit close to what we want. Just going back, yes, we already have these 3 columns, but we need to be able to see the difference, right? The comparison of what our current sales value versus our previous month sales value is for each store. So what do we do? Whenever I want to look back, do like a look back or look forward, right? Basically, what we are saying is we want to be able to bring the previous record, the previous row record, right, to our current row. So what we use is a window function called either lag or lead. So we use lag to check the previous record. We use lead to check the next record, right? So we need to use a window function called lag. So what I'm just going to do first is to wrap this in a CTE. We call that base CTE as this. Well, okay, I can now write my next query just to ensure I can express what we're trying to look for. Right. So select star from this CTE first. This is supposed to give me exactly what I had before. Now, what do we want to do? I want to say, bring for say store A, bring the previous month value into our current row, right? So what do? We use our lag function. So what is our lag function? Our lag function, we pass what particular value, what particular column do you want to return? So that's our sales column, right? So lag of sales, right? Then our window, which we need a window function, so we need our window. So the window is generally what comes after our over function. So right over, then first, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to show us what the different components of the window function. So we have our partition by and we have our order by. First, because this particular window function lag, you need to be able to say, okay, bring the previous record. You need to tell SQL or you need to tell your computer that how does it know what should be the previous value? So it needs an order, right? So you need to enforce an order by clause, right, inside the window function. So I can say order by. Now let's say I want to do month, right? Now this is just testing, so we see what the output looks like. As let me see, previous sales value. So let me execute this. Now, when I do this, what do you notice, right? What SQL is just doing here is it has ordered the month column alphabetically, of course, right? And it has said, okay, in line 2, right, bring the sales value for the previous record. Bring the sales value for the previous record. Do the same thing in line 3. Do the same thing in line 4. So we have a couple of issues here. First, this is not considering a particular store. 1, 2, our month is being ordered wrongly. We want it to be able to say January comes before February, February comes before March, March comes before April, April comes before May, and May comes before what? June, right? So those are the 2 issues that we have currently. So let me start with the second issue. Now, the reason why this is not ordering the way we expect for the months is because the output of this is a string, right? And for strings, the way it orders its values is alphabetically, right? So A comes before B, comes before C, comes before. That's why you see A comes before F, then J again, then M, which is not what we want. So what we can do now is we'll go back to our initial CTE, and we are going to add another. We're going to add another date function here. And the reason why we're doing this is because the output of this is going to be an integer. And it tells us January is 1, February is 2, March is 3, and we can use that as our order, right? I hope this makes sense. So let me just do month date as month order, right? Comma. We also need to include this in our group by function, of course. So put this here. And now that particular column is what we want to use to run our order. So this, we should be halfway where we are going to, right? Okay, so yes, now you can see that January to June are ordered accurately, right? So that's the one of the issues that I raised that we've already solved now. One other thing that it's good to note is, please note that when we're working with window functions, especially with lag and lead, it's just basically the way you've ordered your data. It just picks the previous record. That's all. So there's a possibility where January, where our data is such that for each store, they don't have a value for each month. So you could have January, then the next month is going to be March, then next month is May. What happened? It has skipped February, right? If we're trying to do month to month and we want to ensure it's picking the actual previous month, there would be an issue because what is going to be picking is a previous record. In this case, though, we actually have, if I do like an order by, if I do an order by months and let's see store, order by months order and store. There's something we're going to note. Yeah, so if I do order by, okay, sorry, I should be doing the other way around. Do by store by month order. What I'm trying to see is, I'm trying to show us, yeah, this is what I wanted to show us. For each store, we actually have a value for every month: January, February, March, April, May, June. Same thing with Hell's Kitchen and same thing with Lower Manhattan. So in our case, we don't have that problem, right? So let's move on, right? Now, the second issue that I had mentioned earlier on was what is happening here so far is for each row, for row one, it's saying, okay, look back. Was there any record that happened before row one? No, then return the previous value. In this case, the default previous value, if there is no record, is null, right? Row two, the same thing, it just repeats the previous. Now, we are not considering on a store by store basis. It's just really considering the whole data set as a window, right? The whole data set as a window. And when you want to specify that the whole data set should not be a window, you just want, you have like how you want to define a window, right? Then you need to include something called a partition by clause, right? And in this case, we've already been told that we need to see this on a store by store basis. Like, we are not trying to compare month on month value across board. We are trying to compare month on month for each store, right? So Lower Manhattan differs from Astoria, differs from Hell's Kitchen, right? So we need to focus on each store. And what that means is that each store is going to be taken as a window on its own, right? So what that means is we are going to be adding a partition by clause and saying what we are including store here. And why are we including store? Because we want to consider each store as a what? As a window on its own. So if I do this, we are going to be a little bit closer to what we are trying to get. So if I do this, what do we see? We see that Hell's Kitchen now is now considered as a window, right? And for Hell's Kitchen in February, you can see the previous sales value is now what? The value in January. Previous sales value in March is now the value in February, which means we actually have exactly what we want. And it's the same thing for Lower Manhattan, and it's the same thing for what? Astoria, right? So we're getting a bit closer to our solution. Now, next thing that we want to do is, they said we should compare month on month. So basically saying our current sales value versus minus our previous month value, right? So what I'm going to just do here is, say sales minus this value, then just wrap this in, yeah, wrap this in, and let me name this, let me just check what it was named as here. Sales versus last month. right? So sales versus last month. Now, when I'm writing something like this, I need to wrap it with double quotes so that SQL knows that it's all together. So if I run this now, I'm going to be checking, I'm going to be getting yes. So what we have here is now telling us this value minus this value. That's what we are having here now, right? For lower Manhattan. Same thing here. And we can start seeing the negative and the positives and everything. Okay, so that's one. That already tells when you right direction. So the next thing I would like to do is we've been told to round up to like from the result set here to 0 decimal places. So I'm just going to wrap this again with the round function, add two at the sorry 0 at the end. Run this again and we should be good. Yes, fantastic. So next thing is just to select the columns that we want. So in this case, we don't need to return everything. We're just returning what is important. So month order, we don't need to include this in the output. Recall that it's not in the output. So add store and store, and our sales value. Okay, so if I run this, I think we should be closer to our results. Okay, one bit, we need to also round this to nearest whole number. Run it again. Yes, fantastic, right? So I think we are good. But the result sets actually did the ordering by month, right? So let me just add that at the end. So order by month. So this way we are going to be getting all the January values, all the February values. No, sorry, order by month number actually. Because don't forget, we need to, it has to be from January to June month order. Okay, then run this. Fantastic. I think we have what we want. All right. Okay, so just sanity check for what was asked. What was the difference in sales from April to May for the Astoria location? Digits only rounded to the nearest dollar. So all I just need to do is come to this table, look for Astoria May record. So that tells us May Astoria. That tells us the difference between the month of May, the value in the month of May versus the value in the month of April. So this is a positive $12,951. So let me just go include this here, drum roll to see if we're going to get it, and boom, yeah, that is accurate. So thank you for joining. That's the solution, and I'm going to be stopping at this point. Tune in for the next one later. All right, thank you everyone, and bye.